got the bedding and I stretch before I wash my face. This a vibe, about to take him to another place. And she said I'm Superman to a lowest lane. Side again, no wise enough, then ain't to clear the way. You gotta go, but to achieve it, you gon' need some faith. I'm trying to reach the top in each and every
Ladies and
way.
gentlemen, welcome back to Off the Bench. It's your boys, Jorge and Roland, episode 36. As always, presented by Diplomacy Clothing. It's Pay Me season. Get your Pay Me shirts and shorts at Diplomacy Clothing on their Instagram page. DM Kyle Miller. He will get you your order wherever you are. I'm currently in my new home in Florida, awaiting my orders from Diplomacy Clothing, getting my Pay Me shirts to show my fellow Floridians that it is Pay Me season.
Is that what we're calling them now?
Oh, that's what we're calling them now.
Okay.
Roll. This week is exciting. You know, like it's been a while since we're slowly getting out of COVID. We're getting out of the phases, slowly easing back into society, and there's no better sign than baseball starting back this Thursday.
Well, yes.
And Yankees starting off playing the World Series champs, the Washington Nationals. Still can't believe that happened. Still can't believe the Washington Nationals of all teams
Let's go, Nats. Let's go.
are the defending World Series champions, and they play the Yankees this Thursday. 60-game regular season, no fans in attendance, only games for this 60-game regular season. We'll see what happens when it comes to playoffs, how that travel situation goes. But for right now, it's just going to be all local travel. Roll, what are your thoughts on this coming season?
I think it's going to be exciting, George, but I also worry for, like you said, when it comes to the playoffs. I'm going to be a little curious to see how that plays out. But I look forward to it. I think it could be an exciting season. I think baseball, as much as we bashed it previously on this channel before, I still believe that, you know, with it being one of the only two sports going outside of the UFC and NASCAR, you know, a lot of people are going to tune in. And Nats, the defending champion Nats versus the New York Yankees. It's going to be a great game.
And I've been watching some preseason games, mostly Yankees and Mets. And they've been teasing something that we've seen I've seen in Korea and Japan, where when they restarted their leagues, they have little cardboard cutouts in the stands where the camera facing the pitcher and the batter are right behind home plate. They've got little cardboard cutouts, and some of it. I think, it's Citi Field, so Mets fans already know there's no one at the games. So cardboard cutouts or not, there's no one at the games. But it's an idea taken from the Asian leagues, and I think if you try to be more a little creative with the cardboard cutouts, maybe put like some thought bubbles, maybe some like something in there. And they've been using fake crowd noise that we've been seeing in soccer with the Bundesliga and the Premier League and pretty much every soccer league that's been restarted up to this point, where it's just fake crowd. You hear either fake crowd noise or crowd noise from previous games that they just play either at the stadium or during the live feed, and just to bring it some form of excitement. Although it is Citi Field, so those Mets fans may not have some recordings that may be useful. But nonetheless, it's different. The one big thing I have against it is when the home run is hit, the ball just lays there. So there's no one. Your body is already expecting. Your brain is already expecting, like, oh, someone's gonna go run and catch the ball and toss it back to the outfield. But no, none of that. It just sits there, and then someone has to go pick it up at the end of the game. And it's just like, all right, I guess that makes sense. And it's really different, but you know what? The empty arenas in soccer was really different. But after a while, after just watching a couple games, you get used to it. And that's all I need right now. I don't care right now that there's no fans. I don't care that they're using cardboard cutouts. Baseball is back. I get to watch my Yankees win the AL East and go back to the World Series for the first time in this decade. Because we didn't do it last decade. We were cheated. We were cheated from those damn Astros out of a World Series appearance. So now this decade is a new decade. And we're going to start it off by going to the World Series in a 60-game season. No asterisk.
I like your confidence in that, George. I think while we're on the topic of this, let's kick out some of our favorites to win. Starting with the AL East, you brought up the New York Yankees. I mean, I'm pretty confident that they're probably going to win the AL East. As well.
Yeah, I mean, the Rays are really the only obstacle in the Yankees' ways. And I think most projections have the Yankees winning at either 37, 39 games.
Roughly.
But the Rays are right behind them. I think every standing I've seen, they're only maybe like a game, 2 games back from the Yankees. So the Rays are going to be the team to watch right now in that division because they've got plenty of talent. And I don't like making these jokes, but they're used to playing with no fans. So this is not an issue for them.
You're right. You are right.
This is not an issue for the Tampa Bay Rays, and they're going to be the biggest obstacle for the Yankees because the Blue Jays. I mean, right now the Blue Jays are struggling to find a home. Right now, they'll find a home because I think the first stretch of their schedule is just going to be all on the road, so they'll be fine. They'll have time to find a stadium. Maybe they'll play in Buffalo where their spring training is. And it'll be interesting to see how that works as we go later in the year and as it gets colder. But they have options outside of Canada.
Any chance that they're the dark horse in the AL East that people are not mentioning?
I mean, Boston already got screwed over. Well, not screwed over. They got the law placed on them because of their cheating scandals when they won the World Series. And the Orioles are forever rebuilding. So it's really between the Yankees and the Rays if you look at it I mean, Yu Darvish is good for the Blue Jays, but is he enough? Vladdy Guerrero can't carry that team, can't hit all the runs for that team. And really honestly just between the Yankees and the Rays, because you look at the Yankees preseason, they've been hitting bombs left and right. I mean, I think their most recent game, not today, at day of recording, they played the Phillies, and that was actually a competitive game because they played the Mets in a home-at-home preseason series, and they just clobbered the Mets.
Yeah, it wasn't a pretty game.
It was not a pretty game, and if you're a Mets fan, I'm sorry.
Well, I agree with you, George. I definitely do think that the Yankees are probably the favorite. I believe there are a lot of people's championship favorites as well. But as you said, the Tampa Bay Rays are no slouch, and it's going to be every time they play each other, it's going to be a competitive game. And I'll probably give it to the Yankees. They'll probably win about 37, 38 games. Tampa Bay will probably win out, in my opinion, 35. I don't think they're not going to slouch and not win close to how many games the Yankees will. But the Yankees just have deep run, the deep hits and the home run capability with basically 1 through, the whole lineup. So I agree. I do think Ronald Chapman is going to be key. All reports I'm reading is he'll be clear to play.
He'll be good. He'll be 100%. But again, the biggest strength with the Yankees is their bullpen.
It's worth mentioning. So let's move on now
to the AL Central. Now, this division, I think, is going to be the most competitive division in these 60 games because everyone has either the Twins repeating or the Indians coming back with Terry Francona and all that noise, putting everything together. Carrasco is 100% after his cancer scare last year, and he's going to be back pitching.
Thankfully.
The team everyone's talking about is the White Sox. And they made, if you remember the winter meetings, they made a ton of moves in the offseason. The White Sox, I think, are going to surprise the world and win the AL Central. I'm picking them.
Okay.
I'm picking them.
Do you care to give me a total number you think they'll amount to? Close.
I'd say close to 33, 34 wins. We would do it only because the Twins are tasting success for the first time, and this was the first time I think in a long time that the Twins won back-to-back division championships.
Yeah, probably since Morneau and Howard.
Yes. And the Twins have a solid team. I picked a lot of their players on my fantasy baseball team, and they have a chance to repeat. But the White Sox, they've built a team over there.
I'm going to go with the team we just talked about, the Minnesota Twins, to win repeat the division. Again, another tight division. When you mention the White Sox and all the trading moves that they have made, it's like they're in it to win it. It kind of reminds me back to was that 2016, I believe, when the Dodgers were making a lot of moves, trying to bolster their roster, trying to get to title contention. And it looks like what the White Sox are on the move for doing as well. I just don't believe that it'll be enough to overmatch, because the thing with the Twins, they're very young. And I think people forgot just how long of a delay that they had.
Yeah.
That, they had like 11 games up, I believe, or last year over the second place team. They were phenomenal. And I don't want people to forget, that the playoffs linger in their mind, leave a bad taste about the Twins. And they're going to be for real, guys. They're going to be, I'll say 34, I think will be the winning number.
Okay.
But that's just because I agree with the White Sox, and both the White Sox and the Indians both going to be tough outs. And even the Tigers, I don't think they'll get rolled. They'll lose, but they won't get rolled. I think they'll be competitive. Some games here and there. It's a tough division to win. But I like the Twins, man. I think since the Morneau and Mauer era there in Minnesota, they've been searching for an identity and actual bats. Runs, for the longest period of time, it was no Mauer or us there in Minnesota, He was the one driving in all the runs, getting on base, and essentially doing what he can for that offense. Almost to what Vlad is doing now over there in, Blue Jays.
Yeah.
But they're a lot deeper. I like the rotation. Their bullpen, I think, could use some bolstering. I think it could use a little work there. But, outside of that, I like Minnesota to win about 34 games and win the division. But, we'll keep it moving here. Give me your thoughts on the AL West.
It's now or never with the AL West. The Angels got to win this division. They have to win this division and put Mike Trout out there.
Before I allow you to continue into that, do you believe? Because I'm on record, not on record, but I talk with friends, buddies, and other sports heads like us, and I told them, I'm like, as talented as that roster is, you can't afford to play another goose egg. You can't afford. Mike Trout's not as loyal as the guy is. He's the Larry Fitzgerald of baseball. You just want to see the guy win. Because he just never experienced it. Do you think, George? My question to you before I let you continue is: do you think they'll blow the project up if they don't get no results this year?
Mike Trout is definitely going to want to get out of there if they don't make the playoffs this year. I see that. Because you already have an aging Albert Pujols. He's unmovable. You can't move him. You're stuck with him.
That contract's...
And just looking at the roster right now, I mean, it's tough. It's tough to argue if you don't make if you don't make the playoffs, how you keep this whole team together. And and they have such good players too. I mean, Justin Upton, Anthony Rendon, Shohei Ohtani, who's going to be healthy this year. He's going to both pitch now instead of just bat. And it's just, you have to do it for Mike Trout. Like, this is by far the face of baseball, the face of Major League. And I want to say over half of the fans of baseball don't even know who Mike Trout is, who he plays for, because they've been such a joke. They've been such a joke and acquiring to spend so much money to acquire all these players. And they're almost like the Padres, really, where they spend so much money to acquire all this talent and then do nothing with it. They have nothing to show for it. That's why I think a 60-game season is going to be perfect for the Angels. They can start off hot stay hot, and finally put Mike Trout out there in the national spotlight where he belongs, competing for a World Series.
Now, before I jump into my prediction, George, I just wanted to piggyback off what you said, man. I couldn't say it any better myself. Mike Trout is the star of baseball. Anyone who don't watch baseball, this kid is phenomenal. He's everything you want in a hitter and in the glove. And he's still relatively young for what all things considered. You know, I mean, everyone made a big deal about when Bryce Harper came into the league, and it was Mike Trout who was really the face of baseball, who everyone should have been excited about.
Yep.
Everyone should be happy to go see. But you know, because Bryce Harper got all the national spotlight, Mike Trout never really got that shot. Honestly, the best player in baseball for easily about 5 years now. Easily. And that's including the Indians. You know, I don't even care about the Indians. You know, he's been the best player in baseball. The Astros should be ashamed of themselves for not even allowing, you know, Mike Trout to get anywhere close to the World Series. It's almost as bad as when LeBron was in Cleveland, George, and they put those awful teams around him, and you were just like, man, like he's easily the best player in the sport, but with what the team is built around, like, you know, this is by far the best roster I think he's had. Probably his time.
The Lakers?
With you know, but with all that being said, George, I do believe the Astros will win this pitch. I'm not sitting here.
Look, man, they're not gonna have trash cans. We'll be able to hear the trash cans. There ain't no fans
George,
there. There's gonna be no noise.
I look at that roster, George, and outside the subtraction of Garrett Cole, who obviously is top dog, you know, great pitcher. He is what he is. Justin Verlander's no slouch now. We know the rest of those and that rotation is pretty solid as well.
If the Astros end up winning the division, I want Altuve to take off his jersey and show that he ain't got no wires. Because I'll be damned if they win that division, they shower him with Gatorade and he's covering up his jersey. Get that out of here. I don't want any of it. I don't want any of it. I mean, you show off that, you rip off that jersey, sir.
I think, George, the Astros are going to use all that cheating scandals as motivation. And I think they'll be as motivated as any team this year to go out there and prove to them that what we see talent-wise is not just a product of cheating. Because I'll be on record. I think the Yankees that year they faced the Astros in the conference that Astro team was better than that.
How dare you, sir? How dare you? You retract that statement right now. You take that back right now.
But it wasn't because, George, it wasn't because of one thing. You know, like their rotation was solid. The bullpen was solid. Probably some of the best hitters in the game today. Altuve, right? You know, like
George Springer. Yep.
Yeah, man. A whole bunch of hitters, and we know they're good. You know, it's like I think why I was so more mad at the fact that they hated it was because it was like you guys are so talented. What do you need to do that? You know, like you're so superior. Like your talent on any given night will outplay the opposing talent. It was almost the same thing with the play game with Tom Brady, where it was like you're so talented. Why do you stoop to that?
But see, the difference there is that the Colts were getting blown out. The Yankees were at a game 7. We were at a game 7. You know, they didn't have to deflate the balls at halftime.
Now, here's the thing with projected winners, George. I'm just projecting who's winning the division. You know, there's still a chance that the Angels, they're still doing wild cards, correct?
Yeah, but they're still doing wild cards, and I was just about to ask you who your wild card is going to be.
So I will say it's going to be one of those do it for Mike seasons in Los Angeles, and I'll give you one of my sleepers right now. The Angels will be one of those wild card slots. They will get it. I got them in playoffs. I just can't get them winning that division. I just believe this the talent of the Astros will override the talent of the Angels. But so we covered our AL. I gave you one of my playoff teams from the AL.
Who's the other wild card?
My other wild card is Tampa Bay.
Okay.
And I think that's easy. You know, if I were to have Tampa Bay winning the division,
I'm agreeing with you there.
Now, give me your 2 wild card slots before we move over to that.
I'm going Tampa Bay for my first wild card. I think they're going to have the home field, but Minnesota, I think, is going to take that second wild card spot.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't see anyone else in the AL West. I mean, I'm expecting the Astros to be okay, but after this whole fiasco, I'm expecting the National League Astros to start playing. And remember how bad the National League Astros were. They were so bad they had to change them. They had to move them to the other conference.
I do remember those years.
I remember those years. I was like, wow, that's a shame for all those people that spent their good hard-earned money to see the Astros play. So I'm expecting the Astros to go back to that team you look and you say automatic W.
Okay.
But the Rays, again, they're the biggest challenge to the Yankees, and if you're the biggest challenge to the Yankees, that means you're a playoff team automatically. That happened with the Red Sox. That happened with the Blue Jays when they were competitive. It's bound to happen.
Okay.
And the AL Central, I mentioned when I picked the division winner for the White Sox. This is the most competitive. This is going to be the most competitive division in the 60 games. I mean, you got the Twins, you got the Indians who are trying to stay healthy. Now that Carrasco's back, the Tigers can make some noise. Hell, the Royals can make some noise. But I think the White Sox and the Twins are going to come out of that division.
I like your pick, George. I like your pick. So we're just going to quickly move over here to our NL fans here.
The National League East.
Let's start with the the NL East here. On you, George, NL East winners.
Anthony Rendon, that departure is going to hurt the Nationals.
Big time.
And they lost a lot of players too, I think. Now that I'm trying to remember from winter meetings. The Phillies, I mean, you signed Bryce Harper, but you didn't really do much with Bryce Harper last year. Missed out on the playoffs. It's tough to argue against the Braves. I'm just gonna ignore the Miami Marlins. Just gonna ignore them. Like they're just Derek Jeter.
And the Mets should be no thought in your mind either.
That's a whole separate video on what Derek Jeter is doing with them. And the Mets, I mean, it's the Mets. I don't know how to tell you this, Mets fans, but even with 60 games, you're not going to be good. I don't know how to tell you this.
Wow, don't do this.
You're not going to be good.
We have a New York following, George.
Look, I mean, I know we have a New York following, but we're a Yankee town over here in this podcast. We're all Yankees on this end. We respect winners out here. So I'm gonna go with the Braves. I mean, it's tough to go against them. The Phillies are gonna be tough, but they have Gregorius, they have Girardi, but it's
tough on this one, George.
I'm torn between the Phillies and the Braves. It's gonna be one of those two. You know, I'll spoil the later. My NL one of the wild cards is going to come out of the NL East.
Okay, so
and it's either going to be the Braves or the Phillies.
You got the Braves winning the division, but you're here to say early that you got the Phillies.
I got the Phillies making the playoffs. Who do you have?
That's fair. I'm going to sit here and tell you, Jordan, I agree with you, man. I got the Braves winning the division.
Look at us in agreement. The listeners are going to be so happy that we're in agreement.
The division itself is competitive.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the Nats will be bad. I don't think Philly will be bad. I think the Mets put shots on people. I agree with you with Miami. I'm not even going to mention them because I don't think they want to be mentioned. I agree Nationals lost some pieces. Rendon was the heartbeat of the team, but they still got Soto.
Yep.
And, I mean, that kid's going to be electric. I think he's George what the Nationals thought Bryce Harper would be.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be the real heartbeat of that team now that Rendon's gone. And I kind of think that the Nationals saw the price that Rendon was asking. It was like, for the guy who we know he really probably wants to be the face of the franchise, we'll just let him go.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say the Braves win this in a close three-way battle with Philly and the Nats. I will agree with you again. I do believe one of the wild card slots will come out this NL East. I'm going to say the Nats are that team that slides in there. I think Soto's going to have his best year to date. Scherzer and those arms in the rotation will continue to do what they do and pay people up.
Okay.
I think they're well coached, George. You know,
They are.
There's something to be said about teams that are well coached. Philly, I don't think they're led correctly. You know, like they're talent-wise, they're great. I ain't upset with that talent-wise.
Yeah.
I don't like the structure. Who's coaching and the higher ups and the GMs.
Look, the Phillies can have Joe Girardi. We already dealt with him once before. You can have him.
You can say, he's a great coach. He's a good coach who had great talent.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
Good coach, great talent. You don't have great talent.
He rode that talent. He rode that talent like crazy.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
You really to know the extent of how good a coach Joe Girardi is. Look at the post Jeter years before Judge got called up.
And that's what I bring up to all people who are riding the Joe Girardi bandwagon. I'm like, what did he do though when the pinnacle of his team went away? Did he coach the team up? Did they play above what they were supposed to be playing? That's another topic for another day.
That's another topic for another day. NL Central.
I'm gonna start saying things. I promise you.
The National League
NL
Central. See,
give me your winner and tell me why.
Ooh, I'm picking the Cardinals to win this division.
Ooh, spicy.
I'm picking the Cardinals. They are. I think Goldschmidt is gonna go off this year, not because of his own choice, but because St. Louis needs him to go off. And that man has the potential to go off. And the Cardinals are by far, they were the biggest threat to the Brewers, I think. Despite what the results showed in their head-to-head battles, the Cardinals were the biggest threat. The Cubs, John Lester isn't what he used to be. He's not the John Lester of the Red Sox.
No.
And he already delivered with that World Series win. I think he's just cashing in that check at this point.
Real quick, George, let me start in here.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think this NL Central will be tighter than the AL?
At the top, I think. I think it's just going to come down between the Brewers and Cardinals. I don't think it's going to be as competitive.
You don't think the Reds are the team for us to be looking at here?
I'm not a big fan of Trevor Bauer as a pitcher. He's not my ideal top 3 pitcher. And just he gained a lot of fans because of what was going on with the negotiations and how he went after Rob Manfred. But at the end of the day, Trevor Bauer did not have a great tenure towards the end with Cleveland.
No.
and not just like off, like outside the locker room wise, but like off the mound. But on the mound, he wasn't that great. And it's such a shame for Joey Votto because he's such a good first baseman. But I don't think the Reds are going to be challenging for that title. Not this year, anyway. Not even in 60 games. I like the Cardinals, though. They are the biggest threat to the Brewers. And Christian Yelich versus Paul Goldschmidt is something I'd love to watch every day.
Do you remember, George, before who I believe to be the best talented player in the MLB, not named Mike Trout, got injured for the Brewers?
Was it Yelich? Yeah, it was Yelich. Christian Yelich.
They were sitting pretty.
Oh, boy. They were killing it.
If we're talking talent-wise, I think this kid is not Mike Trout, but he's damn good.
He has the potential to take over as that face of the franchise because he's been on SportsCenter. He's been the highlight of every Brewers game. The Brewers have made the playoffs, and he's been the talk of the team. And he's been on that national spotlight before. He's done basically the Milwaukee Brewers are doing everything the Angels should have been doing with Mike Trout.
Mike Trout, I agree. And for that reason, I'm going to pick the Brewers to win this division. This kid is electric, and I like what they got going as well. Their pitching staff are not full of household names. They're not guys you'll ram off on the top of your head, but they're solid. They're obviously a more offensive team. with great speed on bases and great defensive prowess. So they make up for a lot of mistakes that some of the pitchers make, especially Yelich.
Mhm.
But I do think the Cubs will have something to say about the division.
Yeah.
They're not just going to roll over. I think they'll be in the mess. And your Cardinals, your pick is definitely going to. I like the Cardinals. I kind of did almost to be a little bit different. I didn't want to agree with you again. So, I was like, I'll get the Brewers.
Well, the Brewers, I mean, the Brewers are a great option.
My spoiler here is the Cardinals will make the wild card slide here.
Well, that makes me slightly okay with your pick for the Brewers. But the National League West. First things first, your Giants are winning this division. I'm sorry.
First things first, Buster Posey's not even playing. So I'm watching, I'm going to just tune into the Yankees and just see what they
I had a fantasy baseball draft the other day, and I had to be reminded by frequent texts from everyone in the league saying, because I had Buster Posey in my lineup last year, and everyone was like, Jorge, don't pick Buster Posey. He's not playing this year. I was like, you're right. I forgot he was, and I was definitely going to pick him.
Yeah, he's not playing. He's not playing.
It's hard to argue against the Dodgers, though.
I think the Dodgers are the easy pick.
They are the easy pick. But the Diamondbacks, didn't they picked up Zach Greinke, no? Or is that...
Greinke went back?
No, they traded Zach Greinke. That's my mistake.
Yeah.
But Ketel Marte is such a good outfielder.
He is.
They picked up Madison Bumgarner.
But,
But I mean, it's the easy pick is the Dodgers because there's really the Rockies aren't really gonna.
Rockies are bad.
They're not bad. They're a good team.
Right. They'll be all right.
The Padres again. I just mentioned with.
The Padres will be right there with us.
Yeah, I mentioned the Padres with who was it? The Angels, I think.
The Angels.
Where it was just like you're throwing all this money to players, but Manny Machado hasn't elevated that team. You're still at the bottom of your standings.
Manny Machado was never going to be a player who wants to league or win Wall Street.
Yeah.
He'll hit you some haters, but that's about it. So I think we won't spend too much time on the NL West here. I think it's a consensus pick here of the Dodgers, and I don't think any other the Rockies and Diamondbacks will be okay. Won't be a bad team, but the Dodgers are loaded, and they should be competing for the NL title. So.
Yeah. So we each picked one wildcard team. I picked the Phillies. You picked the Angels. Who was your second wildcard?
The Cardinals.
You picked the Cardinals.
I got the Cardinals in my wildcard spot.
Mm-hmm.
I got the
because there's two wildcard spots.
Yeah. The Nationals.
The Nationals. Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, Nationals and the Cardinals.
Nationals and the Cardinals. Well, I have the Phillies in one. And I have, you know what? I'll have the Brewers in the other one. I'll have the Brewers.
They're not a bad team.
I mean, it's just tough because there's really not much you can say about any of the other teams that you can choose over the Brewers.
The Cubs is the closest team to that, and you're like, I just feel like we've seen the best of the Cubs.
Yeah. Once Theo Epstein left or got let go, it was game over. But that's our picks for baseball. What do you want to talk about now, Ro?
Now we're going to dive in to who do we believe out of our picks are championship people.
So our World Series picks. Well, obviously, I'm gonna have the Yankees in mind.
We'll skip through obviously the divisional conference. So we'll get straight to our picks. Who do we think the new team will be represented from the NL? Will be represented in the AL? Who wins? And for the heck of it, give me an MVP.
Well, the Yankees are obviously going to be there, representing the AL. There's going to be no trash cans today, sir. No trash cans. And on the NL, It's tough because you want to say the Dodgers. You really
Easy
do.
pick. Yeah, that's the easy
It's
pick.
an easy pick, but geez, Kershaw. He finally redeemed himself. and all for naught.
Let me hear it, George. You know what you want to say.
Ooh.
You know what you want to say.
I had the Phillies as the wild card team. I say the Phillies make it to the World Series and upset the world as a wild card. Going hot take.
Now, hold on. There's a lot to dissect here. There's a lot to dissect here, man. We gotta dive into how he got here. Now, not only did he make the hot takes, he also didn't pick them to win the division. So now tell me, George, what persuaded you to have them not only win the NL, but if they play the Braves, how do they beat the Braves? Tell me.
I mean,
is it just a gut feel? Or we're just going with a gut feel and stuff, just telling you your gut?
something's telling me that Girardi has the capability to take a team to the World Series. He's shown that.
Do you think this team is that stacked, George?
You mentioned it yourself. They play above what everyone expects of them. And while I did mention how bad of a manager he was with the Yankees post Jeter, they also didn't have a lot of star players.
Oh gosh, here we go.
So Girardi.
You didn't want the Yankee versus Yankees championship game.
I kind of do. I kind of want the Yankees to win it against Joe Girardi.
You want the easiest matchup for the Yankees, and now we can do.
I want Joe Girardi to look at Aaron Boone and say, "Wow, Aaron Boone from ESPN to now coaching my former team beats me, and I'm a manager for a longer period of time. I'm an experienced veteran." And then for Bryce Harper to finally make it, only for Gio of the Urshela's to out-hit him in a World Series match. Yeah, I think I want to see that.
Okay.
I think I want to see that. As far as my MVPs.
First, to go for one of those, at least one of them. I don't know.
As far as my MVPs, it's tough. I mean, I kind of don't want to be biased and go with Yankees, but.
Well, who wins?
The Yankees.
The
Yankees are coming into this year.
Give me the MVP.
I think Gio Urshela shocks us. Urshela is the anti-analytic player.
That would be shocking.
He goes against everything that is analytics. And he had an amazing season last year. Sure, now that there's going to be film, that people are more prepared for him. But boy, he is if you're a team that runs on analytics, it's game over. Urshela's breaking your statistics.
So, George, are you ready for my little predictions?
Uh-oh. Go ahead.
Well, we got one together. The Yankees.
Of course.
I think they will represent the AL.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it'll be easy, but I think they'll get there. Now, our NL teams differ. You know.
I'd say so.
And I was on fence here because the Dodgers are just the heat. You're like, you're like how you kind of think, like, man, everything in your power is just telling you, man, it'll be real tough for them not to,
It's going to be very difficult to choose against them.
Pretty tough team to beat, especially when you talk about rookie bets, like really great team, so I'm not going to pick them either. Just because you didn't pick them, I'm not going to pick them. I'm going to join you.
Uh-oh.
But our teams are completely different.
Uh-oh.
I, sir, believe who will be representing the NL this year is going to be none other than, are you ready for this, George? The Atlanta Braves.
Wow.
I think the Atlanta Braves are going to do what the Nats did last year. And just, be a good team, who everyone who's going into the season was going to be a good team, I don't think anyone's seen world champion coming out of that. But you look at the bullpen, you look at the rotation, some sluggers on the team. We got something cooking there in Atlanta. I mean, I flip-flop between there and Milwaukee twice. Because I'm just really big on Milwaukee. I think they're going to have a lot to say about what goes on once they get into the. They're going to be a tough out. They're not. Nobody's going to run through Milwaukee. Even the Cardinals, the Cardinals, I thought it's going to be a tough out for whoever has to face them. But I look at it like the Dodgers are going to have to rely a lot on great pitching to get. They're going to hit, but they're going to have to rely on great pitching. You get through some of these NL teams.
Of course.
And I looked at the teams that most likely to make the most out of them. And as great as Christian is for Milwaukee and how great some of the Philly hitters are, and you take into account of all the great. I look at that Atlanta. They're not going to be shocked. They're going to be. This is. Nobody thinks we're supposed to be here. Let's just go out there and do our thing. Yeah. They're going to go out there, and I think they're going to shock a lot of people. I think, Jordan, I didn't even tell you what I thought they're going to win. I think they're going to somewhere in 35 games. I think they're going to win quite a few amount of games this year.
Who's your MVP? Oh, well, who's the winner? Who wins it? You said the Braves?
The Yankees.
So who's the MVP on my Yankees?
Now here's where my San Francisco Giants. I think it's going to be Garrett Cole.
Okay.
I think Garrett Cole is going to come in and be that workhorse, that Madison Bumgarner-esque pitcher for the Yankees, who I would be shocked to see pitch every other night. He's good. Give me the ball, because the problem what I have with the Yankees rotation is. They have a lot of good pitchers. Most of them struggle with command.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna sit here and say Garrett Cole struggles with command. And I think to get through that Atlanta line out for 9 innings, you're gonna have to present your best option that getting you through there, with the best chance. And I think Garrett Cole gives you that best chance. I think he'll work every like I said, good night. I think I project him to get 2 wins in the series. So he'll start twice and get 2 wins. He may work out of the bullpen. Give me Garrett Cole as an MVP. I think it'll be a tough 6 games. I think Atlanta's going to fight. Okay. They're not going to give it up easy. They're going to fight. But give me the Yankees to win it.
Okay, I respect it. Garrett Cole's a clear choice for MVP. I thought you were going to go all rise and get Aaron Judge.
It was tough not to go on my man Dutch. It was tough. I fought the urge.
But that's our baseball picks. What do you guys think? If you're watching on YouTube, hit us in the comments. The comments, not comics. Hit us in the comments with who you think is going to come out on top as the World Series champs in Major League Baseball in the 60-game season. Listen to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Make sure you subscribe to those channels. Subscribe to YouTube. Hit the bell notification. Hit the bell notification icon to stay notified when a new episode is up. This has been Jorge and Roland with another episode of Off the Bench, presented by Diplomacy Clothing. Follow them on Instagram. Take care.